नमः सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारि भुवस्तले श्रीमत् सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शफरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनीं पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद्गाङ्गम्बय शङ्करमौळिसङ्गात् तत्पातु मातुः प्रणयापराधपादाहतैः पूततमं ततो नः. We saw till the 92nd shloka in the earlier session. Shannamapi adhvanamante shashvatam padamaishwaram iti shrutvaiva siddhantam adhvantam tadayam vyadhat apyantaratama api antaratamo hartuhu bahye tamasika kshama labhoyam yat shivat arat iyantam kalam asta ittat घातं घातं इह व्याघ्रान् ग्राहं ग्राहं शुभास्त्वचः ahran vastra durbhiksham kinkarastasya shankaram. Kulashekara Pandya is trying to follow Parameshwara's advice in building the city of Madurai. So in the place where there was a huge forest, Kadambavanam, he had to reduce the forest to Samatalam, like a place which was conducive for building a city. So he removed a lot of trees, and removing those trees became, it was not easy for animals to live. Now the animals were all exposed here. So people started catching hold of those animals. Ghatam Ghatam Vyagran, they were catching tigers for their skin. There was no darkness in the forest right now. Advantamiva akarot. Of course, Nilakanta Dikshita, whenever there is a description of Shiva or any nature, he tries to bring in a lot of technical aspects for us, and by which we understand, we go to those technical terms and try to understand that also in a very small capsule manner. The point of a kavyam is not just to study something which is very romantic, very beautiful, and that's it. Tatha nasti. We try to, poets try to include a lot of Shastra aspects in it, so that by way of kavyam, we are introduced to something beyond just a material level. So this becomes a tool for us to understand so many other tattvams that are hidden inside the Shastras. And if we go to read just the Shastras at the beginning stage itself, then it becomes a very dry subject, and it can even, vimukhi karoti. It can make us turn away from those Shastras also. But the Kavyam is like a sugar-coated pill. It beautifully brings in Advaita Tattvam or Shaiva Siddhanta, Nyayam, everything. A poet, it depends on the prowess of the poet to bring in those aspects also here. In the same way, we saw the shloka, 90th shloka, Shannam api adhvanamante shashvatam padamaishwaram. Shaiva Siddhante and in Shaktam also, Shadadhvati Rupini iti Ambayaha nama Lalita Sasname Vartate. And Shat Adhva, there are Adhvanaha, there are 6 paths that you take towards Mukti. Shashvatam Padam, which is Mukti, is the eternal paths that you, eternal place that you want to go, that everybody wants to achieve, which is Sukha Dukkha Amishritam Padam. There is no Laukika Sukham, nor is there a Laukika Dukkham in that Padam, and that is the final Padam that everybody wishes for, and that is the Siddhantam here. And that Shaiva Siddhanta talks about that state as being at the end of 6 Adhva. The 6 Jnana Margas are both Vimarsha Rupa and Prakasha Rupa. Vimarsha, Prakasha are those which are Shabda Rupam or Artha Rupam. You have the Varnam, Padam and Mantram in the Shabda Rupa, and then you have Kala, Tattvam and Bhuvanam. These are all very, very technical aspects. And once you have an introduction here, when you go to the Stotra study, this becomes a little easier. And it'll be easier to grasp there. Then from there, when you read Tantra Shastra, it'll become much more understandable and easier for us. This is a way to bring an interest into the readers also towards the Shastram, which is a Mukti Marga, which is what we need ultimately. That was the purpose of poets, and how that was the purpose of bringing in a lot of technical terms into Kavyams also. Yeah. Now we move on to the 93rd. Samvarte tatra satvanam samagrihyanta kunjaraha sarva eva shubhaha kalaha swarupam yadi sundaram. Seems to be a very simple shloka. It's got a very nice meaning also. Tatra kadambavane satvanam samvarte jate sati. When samvartaha ityukte pralayam or nashaha, you take it as when animals were being destroyed or killed in that forest, right? Tatra satvanam samvarte jate, when the destruction of living beings were happening in that forest, kunjaraha samagrihyanta, elephants were being caught, they were not being destroyed. One is, it's very tough to kill elephants, and the second thing is, you can domesticate elephants, there is a use for them, whereas you can't try to domesticate lions or tigers or even serpents, snakes or something like that. You can only domesticate animals which can be useful for the city or for the king. Now here kunjaraha samagrihyanta satvanam samvarte sati, when there was a destruction of a lot of animals going on, kunjaraha samagrihyanta. So vana nashana karyam tu tatra pravrittam asid Kulashekharasya karmakaraihi athva sainikaihi. As they were trying to build the city, they were doing all these things there. Tatra nipavane jantun amarayan. Now, but for this Gajaha, they were caught alive. Sajivaha grihitaha. Why? There could be two reasons for that. One is Yuddhe, Ratha Gaja Turaga Padati iti. So probably there were no wild horses. Yeah, there were no wild horses here. Horses came from outside of Bharata Desham, right? So probably in those times, the way the world was, Bharata Desham must have included a lot more areas, and the horses might have come from other deshas also. Here, elephants were present in these forests, and those elephants were caught and used for probably yuddham athava rajabhavane. In the for the kings to travel outside, they used elephants. The yana mela ambari varadu solradilla and madri. So they found a use for the elephants, so they caught the elephants. Now, there is an Arthantranyasa in the second line where he says, Sarvaeva Shubhaha Kalaha Swarupam Yadi Sundaram. Swarupam Yadi Sundaram Bhavati. If your form is very beautiful or useful, here in the context, you take it as not Sundaram, Upayoga Arham Vidi. If your form Swarupam is such that it is beautiful, that is the moment someone sees it, they say either, okay, it looks beautiful in the sense of let's say a peacock, it looks beautiful, so they probably catch it and let the peacock play in the garden of the palaces, right? So yadi swarupam sundaram athava upayogarham bhavati tarhi sarvaha kalaha shubhaha kalaha eva. Then all times are good times only. Whether even when animals are being destroyed here, nasha kalaha va vriddhi kalaha va swarupam yadi sundaram tarhi saha kalaha mangalapradaha eva bhavati. That is the அதாவது நல்ல நேரம்ங்கிறது what defines a good time? Everything is a good time if you have that bhagyam. So when the entire world is suffering with some COVID or something, some person who has the good fortune would say, I am lucky to have crossed this stage also. So for a person who has bhagyam, you don't take this swarupam as just shariram, but you can go take it further to say that you have this form, you have this attitude, you have this samskara because you have a good fortune here. Saubhagyam asti iti karanat tatra sarvaha kalaha. If everybody around you is suffering also, your attitude may be such that you feel you have been through a very good time. COVID has done good things for me, or something similar is what I'm saying. So, for when the animals are all being destroyed, praninam tu tatra nashakale pravritte sati, gajanam tu, but they will be enjoying Rajya Bhogam. Right? They will have a royal treatment here. They are being caught, taken to the palace, and given bath and that and this. Here, at least in the forest, they have to find, go around finding food. Whereas here, Raja Bhavanetu tatra Rajopacharaha bhavati tesha. So it's a good time for the elephants because they have a upayogaha. Sammarte tatra sattvanam samagrihyanta kunjaraha. Samagrihyanta here is in karmani prayoga. Sarva eva shubhaha kalaha swarupam yadi sundara. Salam abhrankasham chakruhu salam chitva sahasrashaha kim sadhyam bahubihi kshudraihi varameko mahotshritah. Here too he uses arthantranasa. Salam abhrankasham chakruhu. Salaha is a tree, or it is also a prakaraha. Prakaro varanassalaha prachinam prantato vritihi iti amaraha. So sala shalan solron, pata shala. Shala is also a room. Whereas sala here, the dantya sakara, salaha is a tree or prakaraha, the surrounding wall. Abhrankasham salam chakruhu. So when you are building a city, you have to build a huge city wall so that it is protected from outside attackers. Abhrankasham salam chakruhu. Abhram kashati. Kashati ityukte ullikhati athava sprishati. It touches the abhra megha. So this is like a skyscraper. So the walls of idu was really high. Actually, Thiruvaliyaadal Puranathula the Madil Chuvaranudaiya Varnana oru kittatta oru 5-6 இது இருக்கு. அகழி, மதில் சுவர் அதெல்லாம் முடிஞ்சா அது பாருங்க. It's a beautiful description that he gives in the Tamil Thiruvaliyaadal Puranam about the wall that they build outside the city, around the city. So he is actually describing the Madurai city there, and he starts off by saying how wonderful that rampart, the wall around the city is, okay, which is called the prakaram. So that prakaram or the wall was abhrankasham. It is a skyscraper. Abhrankasham salam chakruhu. They built such a big wall. Though, how did they do it? They had to cut down trees by thousands to build that wall. Kashtama irukku, but even then, in today's world, it seems very tough for us to listen to trees being cut. But then think of it as, in those days, actually there is an episode in Vishnu Puranam where the entire world was completely overcome with the trees so much that people could not live there at all, and the set of I think Prachina Barhis or some set of people who they went and did tapas to Brahma. Then Brahma asked Chandran to give his daughter in marriage to the Prachina Barhis, and then they reduced all of those trees down so that people can live on this earth. This is something very similar to that, and it is also Parameshwarasya Agnya iti karanat. It was an order of Parameshwara. So they had to cut down the trees to make way for the city. Sahasrashaha, salam, sahasrashaha chitva, having cut down, patayitva, having cut down a lot of these tall trees which are called sala trees. Sarjaka iti, it's a kind of maybe redwood tree madri edavada irukum. So I don't know. Sahasrashaha, in thousands. So Sahasrashaha, Sahasrashaha is usually used, that shas is a pratyaya which you use for indicating vipsa in a sankhya. When you have to say sahasram patayitva, chitva, iti chit, tatra vipsa bhavati. Vipsa na, there is a pound of punyam bhavati. It was not just 1,000 trees that they cut, but they cut down in thousands. So there is a continuity. He counted by 10. Dashashaha saha vibhaktam akarot. He separated things by tens. Dasha iti kritva tatra vibhaktam akarot. He separated those things. So you use the pratyaya shas there. In the same way here also, salam chitva. They cut down sala tree by the thousands. So sahasram chitva, patayitva. Salam abrankasham chakruhu. So having cut down a lot sala trees by thousands, they built a tall, that is cloud touching wall, skyscraper kind of a wall around the city. Now he substantiates this. Why did they cut down all of these sala trees? Actually, sala trees are supposed to be very tall trees, like the evergreen trees, which are huge, right? Like the redwood trees. So why do you do that? He actually substantiates it in a very nice manner. He says, Kim sadhyam bahubihi kshudrehi. When there are so many alpa things, there is nothing possible with so many small things. One big thing is enough for that. Instead of buying, sometimes we say, right, when we buy clothes, instead of buying 5 rupees 10 items, if you buy one for 50 rupees, it is going to last for a longer time than probably these 10 things that you have on hand. Now, that's the idea here. Kim bahubihi kshudreihi kim sadhyam. If there are 10 people who are of no use, the work is not getting done. If there is one person who is a capable and smart fellow, then definitely that work will be doubly done, more than the 10 people who are completely incapable. So mahotshritah ekaha varam. Mahan cha uchritaha cha. Mahan, a great person. Uchritaha can be lofty person, a tall person. It's possible. That is, if you have to get something. Anna, this is very different. My mind is going in a very different way. I feel, if you had one tall person, even he could not get that. In the Krishna Leela, Navanita Chaura Leela, they needed 10 short people to climb on top of each other, and then Krishna on top of them and took it, right? Just a side thought, it has no effect here. Just saying, bahubihi kshudreihi kim sadhyam. What can be achieved by a lot of small alpa padarthaihi? So the idea here is, even the tall sala trees seemed very kshudram, very small, when compared to this salam prakara, this tall wall that they were building. அதுதான் அந்த மதில் சுவருங்கிறோம். ஒரு கோட்டையின் மதில் சுவர் தமிழ்ல. சாலம் அப்ரங்கஷம் சக்ருஹு சாலம் சித்வா சஹஸ்ரஷஹ கிம் சாத்தியம் பஹுபிஹி க்ஷுத்ரைஹி மகோச்ரிதஹ ஏகஹ வரம். Just one tall lofty item is the best. So what is the use of many tiny ones? So they built a prakaram. Now they are going to usually the prakaras, that is the madil suvar, the tall ones, have holes in them. That is, you will find peaks in them and holes in the middle, so that even in the peaks, that is the wall, because it is during war times, it will be very useful. They had the forethought of building walls with a prakara where you can walk around that rampart, and there were holes inside to view and see how far the enemy is, or what is the range of the enemy. So they built windows there. Now the description here is Vaprakriyasu nirmagnaihi dantaihi amaradantinam shringeshu tasya salasya gavakshaha vipratenire. It was so tall and that it was touching the clouds, and that is why all these divine elephants, they seem to be playing as they were doing the vaprakrida, that is bhumi aghatam yatha kurvanti tatra gajanam tata aghata rupa vaprakrida bhavati tesham tu aghatanena tatra gavakshaha nirmitaha jataha. The elephants, they usually have this play of hitting against a wall. We saw earlier also in the description of Airavata earlier, where in the second Leela, in the first section of this Sarga itself, Airavatam was behaving like a Sadharana elephant. It used to do Vaprakrida. Vaprakrida is something that, in the sense of, hitting the bhumi and then taking the mud and throwing up. So by doing the Vaprakrida, it was as if he made the Swargam into Bhumi and the Bhumi into Swargam. Tatha, he kept on removing the dust from the earth, right? So that is one description we saw earlier during Airavata Shapa Nirmochanam. Now here, the divine elephants are doing Vaprakrida. So divine elephants, Amara Dantinam Vaprakriyasu Tesham Dantaihi Nimagnaihi. Now these walls were so tall that it reached the place where the divine elephants, Suragajaha, where they wanted to do Vaprakrida. Vaprakrida is usually dashing against a man-made wall or dashing against mounds of earth for them to practice. And sometimes, these animals have a boundless energy. They have to expend their energy. They are not in some wild forest here. They are inside a city, and there is very less space, of course. And despite being in the forest also, they have so much of energy that they have to expend their energy in some way or the other. Like kids, you go and put them in a sand pit, they'll keep on playing with the sand in many ways, and then you'll have to come and dump them into a bucket of water to remove that sand for them. So it's a normal thing. Imagine elephants which have so much of energy, so you build a small hillock kind of thing for them to go and hit against that to expend their energy. Here the Suragajaha Amaradantinaha Vaprakriyasu, during their play like this, Dantaihi Nimagnaihi. Now because this wall was so tall, their tusks came and hit the wall. And as it hit the wall, Salasya Shringeshu, Tasya Prakarasya Shringeshu, on the peaks of that huge wall, Gavakshaha Vipratenire. The Gavakshaha Vatayanani. Windows appeared, Vipratenire, that is, they started growing bigger and bigger. Small, there were only peepholes there, but then these Amara elephants started hitting and huge windows started coming up. That's actually, it had a lot of windows, but the idea is that those windows were created by the Suragajaha, by the divine elephants, because these walls were so tall. Vipratenire. So tene tenate tenire tanudhatoho tanute iti lit lakare vartate vipra upasarga purvakam. So vaprakriyasu nirmagnaihi dantaihi shringeshu tas the amaradantinam shringeshu tasya salasya gavakshaha vipratenire. So amaradantinam vaprakriyasu nirmagnaihi dantaihi, because of the tusks that are embedded, because of the embedded tusks of the elephants during their plays, Vaprakriyasu, Tasya Salasya Shringeshu, on the peaks of the wall, windows appeared. Gavakshaha Vipratenire. Vaprakryasu nirmagnair dantair amaradantinam shringeshu tasya salasya gavakshaha vipratenire. Parikham khanatastatra pravishtan pravishtan arasatalam keyuyam sagaranam ityanvayunjata pannagaha. They dug moat, a moat around the city. Now, மதில் சுவருன்னு இருக்கும். அதுக்கப்புறம் அகழின்னு ஒண்ணு வெட்டுவா. அகழிங்கிறது வந்து உங்களுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய குழி மாதிரி அந்த இதை சுத்தி இருக்கும். அதுல ஜலம் வேற ஃபில் பண்ணி விட்டுருவா. அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறது அகழின்னு தமிழ்ல. So parikha itukte you have a small kind of a canal that is being dug around the fort. Outside the prakaram, outside the city wall, there will be a drawbridge which will connect the outside suburbs, the villages, to the inner fort. And in the middle, that drawbridge will be over something called a moat. And that moat is a huge, deep ditch that is being created, man-made ditch, and it is filled with water. Sometimes it is filled with water that comes, it is rainwater that comes from the fort, which has the city, which has the capital inside it. Those who have seen the Tamil movie Ponniyin Selvan recently, you will have an idea in your mind, a picture in your mind. Of course, a lot of olden Raja Rani movies and all, you will have this kind of a picture. So parikha is that moat. Okay, that agari. Parikham khanataha, as they were, those people who were digging the parikha, that moat was so deep. அங்க இதுல வந்து திருவிளையாடல் புராணத்துல I should take out the references from there also. So if whenever you have an interest and if you know Tamil, please take up Thiruvilayadal Puranam. There are PDFs probably available online, or even books are available in places like Giri Traders in Chennai and all that. Online also they are available. There is a beautiful description of the moat, where the moat is filled with sword fishes and other things, which actually seem like warriors are in wait inside the moat. So there are huge, and the valmeen abrimba, sword fishes, right? Sword fish are looking like real swords, and it seems like warriors are actually standing with swords protecting the city of Madurai there. The description is very beautiful there. So parikam khanataha, as the people who are digging the moat, khanataha, khanan pravishtan, rasatalam pravishtan, those who had entered the rasatala, they were digging a moat so deep that they had already gone up to rasatalam, patalam. So rasatalam, until the rasatalam, rasatala avadhi pravishtan praptan janan or bhatan, sainikaha, karmakaraha, whoever, those workers who were digging a moat, parikam khanataha, tatra nagara nirmana pradeshe, rasatalam nepravishtan, those who had entered the rasatala, as they dug a moat there. When you go to rasatalam, it is the abode of serpents, right? So the serpents there, the snakes there, came out and asked, who are you all who are coming up to this rasatalam? Are you related to this Sagaraputras? See, he is alluding to the story of Sagaraputra, who started digging inside and going to the rasatalam. They were finding their Ashwamedha Yaga horse, and so as they went down, they found this horse in Kapila Maharishi's ashrama, where Indra had already stolen the horse. So Sagara was conducting, for those who don't know the story, Ikshwaku Vamshiyaha Kaschana Raja Sagaraha, he performed a yagam, sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yaga, and it was the 99th or the 100th yagam, and it should not be completed. If it is completed, then Indra always has a problem, because he will now ask Indra to move away, and that king will become Indra. So Indra is always afraid of people who are doing this Ashwamedha Yagam. So he steals the horse, sacrificial horse, and goes and ties it outside Kapila's ashrama. Sagara's 60,000 children go dig down to the Patalam, and as they are digging, the Sagaram comes and fills the earth. That is why it is called Sagara. Sagarena nirmita athava sagaraputraihi nirmita iti Sagara. Samudraha. The ocean was formed because Sagara's children started digging underneath to go and find the horse. When they went there, Kapila completely, they thought that Kapila had stolen the horse, and when they started abusing him, Kapila became angry and he opened his eyes and they were all bhasmam. In order to redeem them, Bhagiratha brought Ganga down. This is the story, small story there. Now, as these people, that is Kulashekara Pandya's workers, when they were digging into the Patalam, or they were digging for a moat, and they reached this Rasatalam, and it seemed as if, these are all the poet's imagination. Pannagaha Anvayunjata. Pannagaha, the snakes asked. Anvayunkte, Anuyogaha is a prashna. Anu Purvaka Yunj Dhatoho Tatra Prashnarthake Vartate. It is a Paryaya Padam for Prashna. So Anvayunjata ityukte Aprichan ityartha. They asked, inquired. So usually Upasarga Yogena Dhatvartaha Anyatra Niyate. It's completely opposite. It can be completely, it has no connection with the Yuja or anything at all here. So Anvayunjata here is, it means Aprichan. So Pannagaha Aprichan. What did the snakes ask? Ke yuyam Sagaranam. Sagaranam. Sagaranam ityukte Sagara Vamshiyanam ke. Kidrisha Sambandinaha Yuyam. How are you all related to this Sagara's children? Because they are the ones who came. You seem to be doing the same work that they are doing. So, what is your relation with Sagara's children? Parikham Khanatas Tatra Pravishtan Arasatalam Keyuyam Sagaranam iti Anvayunjata Pannagaha. These are all Atishayokti and Utpreksha here. Next is Parikha Randrataha Tatra Patalat Janhavi Jalam Jalayantradiva Utthasthau Bhumyantam Bhutalat Chutam. It's a little tough to rearrange and understand this shloka. You have to imagine that, remember how that Hema Pushkarini came out as Parameshwara hit the Bhumi with his Trishulam. It went so deep that it went and hit the Avarana Jalam, and that Avarana Jalam came and filled up the lake. So Suvarna Pushkarini is supposed to be filled with the Avarana Jalam, and that's why it's the most purest water. It's supposed to be the most purest water. In the same way, in a similar manner, he says, from the Parikha, the moat was dug so deep that water rose from the moat itself. They did not fill it artificially with water. Usually, the ditches are made and then they are filled with water artificially or with rainwater. As it rains, it fills up with water. Otherwise, it is just a ditch, that's all. Trench kind of thing. Even now, you will find in high security places, army places and all that, you will find electric fences, and beyond the electric fence, you will find a huge ditch where it is natural that you will just fall down inside it and you won't be able to go across it, right? In those days, Banargata used to be like that, in Bangalore, you have this wildlife sanctuary. So they would build huge ditch where the animals would find it difficult to cross and come. Parika Randrataha. Now this ditch was so down, so deep that it hit the water table and water came out of the hole inside the Parika. Now there seemed to be, it was as if water came out of a Jalayantram. like a fountain. Now he imagines that waters rose out of a hole in the moat as if through a fountain. Now it was as if Jannavi water, that is Ganga waters, fell from the earth towards Patalam, and then it came out of a fountain again to reach the ends of the earth. So they probably built a Jalayantram in the Parikha. Jalayantram is a fountain. They probably built something through which the water came and filled up the Parikha. They might have had tubes underneath inside holes in the Parikha to reach the water table, like our bore build pandrom, yeah. If we want water inside the house, we dig bores and try to get the water out through a tube and then fill up our overhead tank for water inside the house or inside an apartment. This is something like that. They want to fill the parikha, the moat, with water. They had holes inside the ground, and then they had a jalayantram or a tube inside those holes through which water came and filled the parikha. But Nilakanta Dikshita imagines how this is. He equates this to how Ganga went down to Patalam. So Bhutalat Chutam, Bhutalat from the Bhumi, Satu Tripataga, right? She fell from the Akasham to Bhumi, and then from the Bhumi she went to Patalam, and she was called Bhogavati in Patalam. Bhutalat Chutam Jannavi Jalam, the water that fell from the earth, rose again, Patalat, again from the Patalam. It came Jalayantrat iva, as if it came through a fountain. Parikha Randrataha, from the hole through the moat. It came out, and Bhumyantam Uttasthau. It was as if it came out. Uttasthau, it came out. Uttishtati, right? It came and spread towards the end of the earth. Bhumyantam, Bhumi Paryantam, Tatra, it was like a spraying water that came out. So he imagines that it is probably Ganga Jalam, which went from the Bhumi to the Patalam, and then it came through the hole from the Parikha. So Tatra Parikha Randrataha Jannavi Jalam Uttastau. So you can take it as Jannavi Jalam Uttastau or Parikha Randrataha Jalam Uttastau. Waters came, Jalam came out of the Parikha Randram. That is the first part that you understand. So waters rose out of the hole inside the Parikha, just as how Jannavi Jalam, Bhutalat Chutam Jannavi Jalam, Patalat Bhumyantam Iva Uttasthau. Okay, so they must have made a fountain there, for the tube there for waters to come and fill the entire moat. Parikha Randratastatra Patalat Jannavi Jalam Jalayantradeva Uttasthau Bhumyantam Bhutalat Chutam. Now the next one is again he goes back to the Prakara. Now he says that this Prakaram seems to have come from this Parikha, which is like an ocean. So Bhaginishancha Drashtum Prakara Kaitavat Unmamajja Iva Mainakaha Parikha Sagarat Tataha. A very beautiful description here. Who is there in Madurai? Meenakshi and Sundaresha. They are actually Parvati and Parameshwara. Right? So Parvati is Himavat Putri. Himavataha Putraha is Mainaka Parvatam. The mountain Mainaka took refuge inside the ocean. Right? Now, Mainaka Parvata, who is inside the ocean, has come out to witness Meenakshi Sundareshwara in Madurai, who is actually his sister, Bhaginishaha, Bhaginyaha Patihi, Sundareshaha. Bhaginishancha Drashtum. Now, how has this Mainaka come out? He has not come out of this ocean to see here, because Mainaka Parvatam is in south near Sri Lanka there. somewhere there in between Sri Lanka and India, that is where you have the Mainaka Parvatam, supposedly, because it rose to give rest to Hanuman. Now, how did it come here in Madurai? And where is the ocean in Madurai here? Parikha Sagarat, that water is like an ocean there. That Parikha moat is like an ocean, and it is filled with waters of the ocean. Now, this prakaram seems to have come from this ocean. It seems to have risen up from this ocean, risen up from this ocean. And so, prakara kaitavat, in the disguise of this prakaram, this wall, and it is also so huge that it looks like a mountain here. So, it seems as if Mainaka himself has arisen out of the ocean. So this prakaram which is coming out of this sagara, அதுல வந்து திருவிளையாடல் இதுல இந்த 7 கடலும் வந்தது. No, when during the Meenakshi Sundareshwara Kalyanam, I think Meenakshi's mother, Parameshwara gives a gift to Meenakshi's mother by bringing in all the 7 samudras there. There is one small leela associated with that. So that Parikha waters seem like all of the 7 samudras combined together, it seems. The Upama in Tamil is also as comparable as the Sanskritam, if not much more beautiful there. So Parikha Sagarat, from the ocean of moat, Mainakaha, Prakara Kaitavat. Kaitava here is Vyajat. In the disguise of a wall, Mainakaha, Bhaginim Bhaginisham cha drashtum, in order to see his sister and her lord, Unmamajja iva. It was as if the mountain Mainaka came out. Unmajjati. It comes out of its sinking state. So, Bhaginim Bhaginishancha drashtum prakara kaitavat. This is called kaitava pannuti, where you use the word kaitava. It is not Mainaka Parvata. So, Mainaka Parvata has not come here directly, but Mainaka Parvata has taken on the role of this prakaram. So, and the word of kaitava is used. So, you are actually denying the prakaram, and you are attributing, you are saying that Mainaka has come here. Okay, so prakara kaitavat Mainakaha eva atra agataha, ayantu na prakaraha. So this is not a prakara, but it is in fact only Mainaka Parvatam which has come here. So apannuti is an alankara where there is a negation of something that is the truth. So the truth here is prakaraha. I am prakaraha eva. Parantu kimatra uchyate. The suggestion here is that it is not a prakara, but it is only Mainaka Parvata. If he had expressed it directly as Nayam prakaraha kintu Mainakaha Bhaginim drashtum agato Mainakaha iti tatra sakshat yadi, if Nilakanta Dikshita had used these words, then it is a direct apannuti, kevala apannuti alankaraha. But since he has used the word kaitava here, and the negation is implied, prakara chalat, prakara vyajat, or prakara kaitavena Mainakaha eva atra agataha, natu ayam prakaraha is a suggested part. So apannuti, the negation is not direct, but the negation is done through the word of kaitava. So since you use the word kaitava or vyaja, chala, etc., any word you can use, then that variant is called kaitava apannuti. And parikha eva sagaraha, parikha sagaraha here is rupakam. Bhaginim bhaginishancha drashtum prakara kaitavat unmamajja iva. Oh, adu vera. There is an utpreksha also here. Unmamajja iva. So all 3 are together here. So this is one sankaram here. Unmamajja iva Mainakaha parikha sagarat tataha. Okay. The next one is Rajasimhaihi naravayagraihi puritam bhatakunjaraihi puram yathapuram jagne ka tasya anya upama bhavet. Tasya anya upama ka bhavet. Tasya nagarasya anya upama ka bhavet. What other upama can I give you for this city? Because this city, Puram, Yatha Puram Jagne, they made it as before. Pura iva. They constructed it in a manner that it was as if that Vanam had not even gone. So that place becomes an upama for itself. Anya upama na bhavet. Pura iva asit. So the nagaram that was built became as worthy as the forest itself. So what were there in the forest before? There were lions, tigers, and elephants. Now here, instead of those lions, we have lion-like kings. Raja Simhaihi. Instead of tigers, we have people who were like Shardula, like tigers. So tiger-like men were present. Bhata Kunjaraihi. Instead of elephants, there were Sainikaha. There were soldiers who were elephant-like. So Raja Simhaihi with lion-like kings, Naravyagraihi, the city which was filled with lion-like kings, tiger-like men, Rajnyaha or Rajanaha, Nripaha, Iva. So this is an Upamita Samasam. There is a sutram which is Upamitam Vyagradibihi Samanya Aprayoge. When there is no Samanya Vachanam, that is Sadharana Dharmam that is being used, you are actually saying there are only lions which are moving in the disguise of, or who have taken on the shariram of kings. So the kings are all like lions, that is Tadrisha Gambhirya Yuktaihi Nripaihi Puritam Tat Puram Nagaram. And then Naravyagraihi Puritam Puram. Each one you can take it separately. Raja Simhaihi Naravyagraihi Bhatakunjaraihi cha Puritam Puram. That city which was filled with lion-like kings, tiger-like men. So tigers are supposed to be viraha, right? So naraha api janaha tatra viraha asan. Bhataha, kunjaraha, gaja. Why do you take elephants in an army? Because it is difficult to obstruct them. So the Sainikaha face them, right? So the soldiers were also, it was difficult to face them, face the soldiers of Madurai. So Apradihata Sainikaha, Tasmat Bhata Kunjaraha, Sreshta Vachaka Shabda. So these are all words which are used to indicate that greatness in those people. So Bhata Kunjaraha, Purusha Vyagraha, Solala. Narasimha ityukte, you can also take it as Nri Rupi, Simha Rupi cha saha iti. Or when you use Narasimha or Purusha Vyagraha in common parlance, you mean to say that they are as great or as brave as a tiger, or as எப்படி சொல்றது, Gambhiryam. Right, they are as worthy or lofty like simhas here. They can rule everybody like the king of the forest. Here they are as indestructible. The Sainikaha, the army soldiers, are as indestructible as elephants. So Rajasim Yatha Puram, Pura Iva, or Pura Yogyam Asit. So Vana Yogyam Eva Tatra Asit. Vana Yogyata Iva Asit Tatra. So there was a worthiness to that city. Even though that city had replaced that forest, it was as worthy as the forest, because there were people filled with the city was filled with people who were like the animals which had lived in the forest before. So Yathapuram, that is why Tasya Nagarasya Anya Upama Ka Bhavet. I can't equate it to any other city in the world, because I can only equate it to its earlier state. I have to think about what alankaram this is. I didn't have time to think about this, because ka anya upama bhavet. There is no other upama. It can be ananmaya, but the expression of an ananmaya alankara is such that you say sagaras sagaropamaha. Sagaraha eva sagarasya upama. It is a different way of expressing that ananmaya alankara. राजसिंहैः नरव्याघ्रैः पूरितं भटकुञ्जरैः पुरं यथा पुरं जज्ञे का तस्य अन्य उपमा भवेत्. Any questions? You can raise your hands. சொல்லுங்க சார். ஹலோ.
அம்பராம் கஷம் பிராகாரம் நிர்மாய. அங்க அம்பராம் கஷம் கொஞ்சம் வார்த்தை நம்பர்.
அப்ரம் கஷம்.
அப்ரம் கஷம். எஸ்.
அப்ரனா மேகம் அர்த்தம். மேகம் கஷதி இதி அப்ரம் கஷஹ. அப்ரம் கஷதி இதி. அது வந்து கஷதி இஸ் தி வெர்ப். பீடயதி இல்லனா ஒராயிரதுன்னு அர்த்தம்.
ஓகே. மேகம் உராய்ந்ததுன்னு சொல்றோம். மேகம் மேகத்திற்கு சென்று உராய்ந்தது. மரம் எல்லாம் மேகத்திற்கு உராய்ந்ததுன்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா?
அந்த அர்த்தம். நிகஷாங்கிறோம் இல்லையா? So there is something called உராய்கள். நிகஷாங்கிறது வந்து you use a stone. It is like a touchstone, right? So you use that touchstone to decide whether it is a good suvarnam or not. So அந்த
தேய்க்கிறது இல்லையா?
தேய்க்கிறது. அதுதான். அந்த ஸ்டோனுக்கு வந்து நிகஷான்னு பேரு. கஷதி இத்யுக்தே ரப்பிங் அகைன்ஸ்ட்.
அதே மாதிரி ரசாதலம் வரைக்கும் அவங்க அகழி தோண்டி அப்புறம் தலாத்தலம் பாத்தாளம் வரைக்கும் போர் போட்டு அங்க இருந்து கங்கை வெளியே கொண்டு வந்த மாதிரி அவர் எழுதியிருக்காரா?
ஆமா ஆமா.
அப்ப அந்த காலத்திலேயே போர் எல்லாம் போட்டிருக்காங்க.
இது ஜல யந்திரம்ங்கிறா இல்லையா? அதனால இட்ஸ் சம் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் அ யந்திரம்னா மெஷின். இந்த நீங்க திருவிளையாடல் புராணம் பாருங்க, 13th centuryல வந்து அந்த டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன்ல யந்திரங்கள்னே ஒரு 5-6 பாடல்கள் அதுல இருக்கு. யந்திரங்கள் என்ன உபயோகப்படுத்தினான்னு. அதாவது அந்த மதில் சுவத்துல வந்து இந்த இதெல்லாம் இருக்கும் இல்லையா, ஃபயர் பால் எல்லாம் போடுற மாதிரி இருக்கக்கூடிய யந்திரங்கள். they used அந்த catapult, right? There is a description of all those. There are some things which will throw ball which has iron spikes on it on the shatrus. அந்த மாதிரி யந்திரங்கள் எல்லாம் வச்சிருந்தா which will automatically do it if the shatrus enter அப்படின்னுட்டு அவரோட டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன் அது இருந்ததா இல்லையா? பட்
மகாபாரதத்திலேயே கூட அரக்க மாளிகையில இருந்து பாண்டவர்கள் தப்பிச்சு போகும்போது ஒரு ஆத்த கடந்து போறாங்க. அந்த ஆத்தர்ல ஏறி உட்காரும் போது அந்த படகை வந்து அந்த படகோட்டவர் ஏதோ லிவர் மாதிரி அசைச்சாராம். அது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா போக ஆரம்பிச்சது. இப்போ மோட்டார் போட் மாதிரி அது போக ஆரம்பிச்சது. மகாபாரதத்திலேயே கோட்டிங் எல்லாம் இருக்கும் இல்லையா?
ஆமா ஆமா. There was some concept when the text was written. There was a concept of these machines. அந்த டயத்துல டெஃபினட்டா இருக்கு. Okay. Namaste, Lalita Mode. You can unmute and.
பிராச்சீனே ரொம்ப வருஷம் ஜலத்தில இருந்து தபஸ் பண்ணி வெளியில வருது, ஒரே மரங்களாக பூமி பூரா இருக்கிறத பாக்குறேன்.
ஆமா, அவாதான் பிராச்சீன பரிஹிஸ். ஆமா.
அப்புறம் அந்த மரங்களோட பொண்ணத்தானே அவளுக்கு கல்யாணம் பண்ணி கொடுக்குறா இல்லையா?
எஸ், ஆமா ஆமா. they actually destroy and அதுக்கப்புறம் அவளுடைய பெண்ணு தான் வந்து சந்திரன் வச்சுட்டு இருக்கா, அந்த ஔஷதிகளினுடைய தலைவனாக இருக்கக்கூடிய சந்திரன். இந்த கதை வந்து இதுல இருக்கு. அது என்ன பாகவதத்துல இருக்கு. எனக்கு நான் இது வரைக்கும் படிச்சதுல விஷ்ணு புராணத்துல டெஃபினட்டா இருக்கு. சோ ஐ ஹேவ் டு ஸ்டடி.
4வது இதுல வரும் உங்களுக்கு.
ஓகே.
அவர் வந்து தர்பையை விரிச்சு கிழக்கு பார்த்து தபஸ் பண்ணி தபஸ், அப்பதானே நாரதர் வந்து புரஞ்சராவ் பாக்கியாரம் எல்லாம் சொல்றாரு இல்லையா?
இருக்கும் இருக்கும்.
அதான் நான் அது வர சமயத்துல உங்களுக்கு நிறைய கேட்கலாம்.
அப்பதான் நான் படிப்பேன், அது வரைக்கும் படிக்கிறேன்.
இதுலதானே இருக்கேன், தேவதூதிக்கு சொல்றதுதானே இருக்கேன்.
Okay. Any other questions? Ilya? Namas Sundaranathaya tasmai halasya vasine chaturshishti vidha leela yenakari bhuvasthale Srimad Sundaranathasya devim chaparalochana kalaye hridaye nityam kadamba vanavasi.